Hi, I'm Steve Bearish with Prosperion Financial Advisors. Do you ever get the feeling that it's more popular to be a pessimist than an optimist? Have you ever noticed how bearish financial forecasters seem to be smarter than those who are bullish? I first heard this point of view from Ron Barron at the Barron's Financial Conference in New York earlier this year. Since then, I've been paying attention to it, both in the media and in life. I think Barron is right. It's a recurring pattern, one that has me a bit concerned. See, my concern is that people are buying into a pessimistic view, a view of life. Yet in my 35 years of experience, I've found that optimists tend to be significantly wealthier than those who are pessimists. In other words, positive over negative. I believe those who are bullish have much more financial wealth than those who are bearish. Of course, it's impossible to prove this without doing surveys, studies, diagrams, but it's a feeling I have nonetheless. I think it stems from human nature. It's human nature to fear loss. In fact, the fear of loss is greater than the measure of greed for gain. In economics and decision theory, loss aversion refers to people's tendency to strongly prefer avoiding a loss rather than acquiring gain. Some studies suggest that losses are twice as powerful psychologically than gains. Loss aversion was first demonstrated by Amos Tversky and Dan Kahneman in the most recently in their book Thinking, Fast and Slow. It's interesting that the emotion of fear of loss of something is greater than the emotion of reward for gain. Well, my sense of just paying attention to consumer behavior meter is that books that forecast negative future or catastrophic cataclysms spreading fear and turmoil outsell books that are optimistic. Yet, some of my favorite books express optimism about the future. They look at abundance. They look at achievements in medicine, financial success, independence, prosperity, and happiness. You know, you've heard bad news sells. Forecasting, especially financial forecasting, is a skill that investors want experts to be able to do. Like a professional baseball player, financial economists are the only professions that I'm aware of that pay the top 1% in salary, despite missing the ball most of the time. For example, the Wall Street Journal surveys top economists on their forecasts for interest rates and the economy and the markets. Well, since 1982, the semi-annual forecast for the actual direction of interest rates, not the specific rate, but just the direction, economists were wrong 40 out of 63 times. In other words, 63%. They were wrong. You have better odds flipping a coin. So why do forecasters tend to have a negative outlook? Again, I think it's because you appear to be smarter or wiser when you have a pessimistic viewpoint. Again, bad news sells. So why do people constantly look toward forecasters to predict the future? I think it's a learned behavior. I think it's pervasive in our media, and the audience comes to expect experts to forecast. Again, always keeping in mind that forecasting is a difficult job, especially if you're predicting something that's going to happen in the future and you put a time frame on your prediction. So what's an investor to do? Rather than spend time and your energy on forecasts, looking for consensus, for opinions, spend time understanding what the company does. Understand their business. How do they do it? What gives them an unfair advantage over their competition? How do they intend to sell more in the future or do things faster, easier, quicker, cheaper for the benefit of the customers, their clients, and for the benefit of the owners, the shareholders, the stakeholders like you and me? I believe the future's bright. Focusing on a bigger future is what optimists do. It's like a muscle that needs to be constantly strengthened or exercised to overcome the loud noise of pessimism and fear. You need to train your eyes and your mind to be looking for good news, because bad news sells. In my experience, investors who have embraced a positive or optimistic attitude more often came out on top. I don't see that changing anytime soon. I'm Steve Bearish. Thank you for being a client of Prosperion Financial Advisors.